everybody. I hope you've all had a great holiday and enjoyed a few days off. Today I am going to do a bit of art journaling with you, and I'm going to be using some stamps and inks from RubberMoon. If you haven't had a chance to try these Moonlight Duo inks, they're a lot of fun. I definitely recommend checking them out. And of course, if you are not familiar with their stamps, definitely check those out. They have a whole variety of stamps, you know, from artsy stamps to abstract stamps, mixed media like mark making stamps, so definitely check them out. Okay, so I've already primed my page here with gesso just because I think it helps, you know, move the paint around a little bit better. And we're going to do this quickly. I get a lot of messages on social media or comments, and people say things like, oh, I wish I had the time to do art, or where do you find the time to do art? And really, there's a couple of things. It's not an easy answer, but for me, it is, I guess. I make the time. I make the time to do art. But aside from that, you don't need a whole lot of time. So I'm going to show you here how we can make an art journal page from start to finish in just a few minutes. It's not going to take a whole lot of time. So I'm not really, I don't try to be really precise. I enjoy the kind of randomness that you get from just throwing stuff down and you know, having fun with it. I mean, there's always a time and place to think things out, but I don't always do it. And really, I guess I want to show you that you don't have to. So, I'm just laying some paint down here, random places. I am trying to use a dry brush each time. That's why you see me mixing up the brushes. I like to also go back in and spritz with water and help move paint around that way. But right now, a dry brush is what I'm trying to, or a dry brush effect is what I'm trying to get. I do have a piece of deli paper underneath this page just because I want to kind of try to preserve the pages underneath. And I'm just kind of really mashing the paint into my page. And I tend to be really hard on my brushes, so I don't spend a lot of money. So we got some paint on there. And then what I like to do is go back and add in some gesso. And I like to use that just to kind of help unify the colors and mute things a bit. And you'll see, I mean, you can see here that I don't use, this is already dry, basically. Yeah, it's a little bit wet, the last color that I put on. But everything else is basically dry. Definitely dry enough to move forward. So I do that, you know, I don't use a lot of paint because I work kind of quickly, and I don't like to have to wait for things to dry. I'm a little bit impatient that way. So I am going to now just brush on some gesso. Again, I am just doing it to kind of mute some of the colors and help unify them just a bit. And you'll probably notice that I don't tend to like really grip down on my brush, you know. I don't try to, at least, just because I find that it kind of keeps things a little bit more loose if I don't. Sometimes I even move up higher on the brush, and you'll see that when I use the pencil a bit. So see, now this has helped kind of just unify everything and mute some of those colors a bit, and then we're going to go back and add more colors. So don't worry about that. Okay, so I'm going to set this, I am going to put that in the water since it's gesso. And I think we're going to use just some random stencils from RubberMoon. So these are, they have a great line of stencils, but they have some really fun planner stencils, and that's what I'm going to use here. So this one, this is part of the stencils that have the months, and then these are numbers. And in reality, it doesn't even matter what it says here because I'm not going to use it for that. I'm actually going to turn it over and just use it for texture. So definitely don't be afraid to use your stencils in some other way, you know, or don't be afraid to not, you know, use the stencil to get the exact image that's on there. So we are going to add in some more color. And I like to use these cheapy makeup wedges. I'm just going to randomly put stuff on here. Again, I'm not looking for like that super clean, pristine image. You know, I don't want it super clear. And if you follow me on social media, I think that you'll see that a lot of my work is kind of on the grungy side. It's because it's what I like. It's what speaks to me. And again, I'm just using this stencil here just to get some texture. So we can put that one aside. And then I'm going to grab that other one. I'm actually even going to flip it backwards and add some more color. Again, just kind of pouncing it on here, not being too careful with it. You can even turn it this way. I'm kind of a hard pouncer, so you might hear or feel or see the camera move, I guess. So I'll try to keep that in mind. But I tend to kind of go a little crazy with my pouncing. All right. So again, you can't even tell what these stencils were supposed to be. I mean, maybe you can make out the 7 and the 4, but other than that, if someone didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. And there's definitely a time and place when you want to use the stencils as they are, but you don't have to, is what I'm trying to say. You don't have to feel limited. So, let's see. I'm going to clean this up. I try to tidy up as I go, only because otherwise I can make a huge mess. So I got some texture on there, and now we're going to do a bit of stamping. And actually, what we're going to do right now is another thing that I like to do. I like to use my non-dominant hand and then like a water-soluble pencil or crayon. In this case, I'm going to use a pencil, and I'm just going to randomly make some scribbles. It's not anything that is, again, nothing precise. And I'm just going to take a water brush, if I can get the water to flow here. And I'm just going to kind of go over it a little. Now, I know that, you know, not everyone is into like the grungy kind of pages. So, you know, do things, you know, that feel good for you and things that speak to you. This is kind of what speaks to me, and I kind of, I enjoy this aspect of it. You know, it not having to be too precise. Actually, in our house, we kind of joke when things don't go as planned, that, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's mixed media, and we kind of joke around about that, just because it kind of is true. It doesn't have to be perfect if you don't want it to be, and if that's your thing, definitely go for it. But it's not usually my thing, and I find it, for me, it's a lot more freeing when I just kind of give myself permission to just play and have fun and don't really attach too much expectation to the outcome. So I'm going to clean off one of my brushes here, and I'm going to go back in. I'm going to add in just a bit more color. I'll share a secret with you guys. I'm really not good about cleaning my paintbrushes, so my water in my studio is usually kind of nasty. Let's see. I did try to, well, I cleaned it yesterday actually, but that was because I had started to film a video to share with you guys, and then, well, I had a little camera snafu and it didn't turn out as planned. My camera stopped recording, so So I had cleaned the water for that, but today I figured, it's clean enough. So we're just gonna kind of roll with it here. All right. And what you can also do, of course, so you've probably seen this, but what I like to do when I do have wet paint down is to kind of put my stencils down and rub through them. And it's not going to give you a whole lot of, well, what it gives you is texture. Again, just more texture. And it's just another part of building up layers. And a little more here. And I think we're good. Okay, now at this point, because I have rubbed the baby wipe over it, I am going to give it a quick dry with my dryer. So I will speed it up so that you don't have to listen to that. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add some stamping, or I should say I am going to add some stamping. And I am going to use a few different abstract stamps from RubberMoon. And I will list them in my video link, or in the blog post. So we are going to use, let's use some Moonlight Duo, and this is, what color is this? I know it's on here. Why am I not seeing it? Oh, Planetary Purple and Moonlight White. Okay, so the fun part is that you have two, you have the white side and then you have the side with color, and which will, lets you different things. You can rub it straight onto your substrate if that's what you'd like, the color and then the white over it, or vice versa. You can stamp and then stamp over it, with the white, which is what I will be doing a bit of here. And a little more there. Okay. And I'm not too concerned about contaminating the white side, only because that's really what they're intended for. They're intended to kind of blend and give you that gradient look. And you can just use the white if you'd like and add some texture as well. All right, so that's one. I'm also going to use, let's use this. It's like kind of like an arrow. Oopsie. And then I'm going to go back over it with some white, and it kind of creates like a fun little, almost like a shadowed look to it. And again, I don't worry about getting it right on top of what I've already stamped. Yeah, okay, that works. All right, next, let's go for some of this beautiful pink, and the color is Milky Way Magenta. And again, it comes with the Moonlight White. So I'm going to do some, and you can see that my pages get to be a bit busy, and I'm okay with that. Because this is really just, I'm going to put something over it, so I'll do some stamping over that. I'll probably put a focal point or something like that. And if it gets to be too busy for you, you can always add more color in, or even some gesso again. So let's actually add some more gesso. Get a semi-clean brush here. You know, I was talking earlier about not getting too attached to the outcome. And that is, I think, really important when you're working in layers like this, because a lot of times you're covering things up. And it might even be something that you really like. I mean, you can always save it or mask it out if it's something that you really like. But I think sometimes it's fun to just push yourself a little bit and see if, you know, if you can let go of something you do like and possibly find something that you like even more. And so I just add in more color, building layers. Just gonna wipe off my brush here. I don't always even just, I don't always, you know, wash my brush in between color changes because, I just don't. Okay. So, I think I'm going to give it another quick little dry. I'll be right back. Okay, I am going to add just a couple of more arrows on the other side because I feel like it. Let me actually move this. There we go. All right. Okay. So, I don't know, did I use this color already? Oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. So I am going to take the white. Yes, I did use the color. Okay, so I'm going to take the white and I'm going to take this other stamp and just stamp and stamp and more. All right, maybe just a tiny bit more right there. Okay. So, next, let me cover this back up. Now see, my space is getting a little out of control here. So I have to clean it up or else I get a little bit crazy. Okay. I'm also going to use one of RubberMoon's script stamps and just add some stamping with black. I'm actually just going to use my hand. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is just do a little bit of mark making with pens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm going to leave that alone for now. What I am going to add is some stamping with this adorable rubber stamp, and it's called Girl in Galoshes, and I think it's so adorable. I just love this stamp. It's also available from RubberMoon, of course, and I wanted to show you that. I think it was my last post with RubberMoon. Someone commented or messaged on social media, messaged me and asked how I got the stamping, how I got letters inside the image that I had stamped. And so I explained to her that I had actually stamped onto old book paper. And then I got to thinking, you know, I think maybe not everybody realizes that you can do that. You know, I think once you've been doing things for so long, you tend to sometimes forget that there are new people coming in all the time. So I just wanted to show you, I took the same stamp this stamp here, and I stamped it on 3 different things, just so you could see. I mean, you have so many options. You can stamp it on more than this. But here, I stamped her onto some underpaper. And underpaper is this paper that's underneath me. Right now I have like this these clear mats and a craft sheet. But usually I work with underpaper, and I love to use it to clean up paint and sprays and stencils, even my fingers. And I love to save it and then cut it up and use it later, like for a collage element. So I stamped it on that. Here I stamped her onto old book paper. And then here I just stamped her onto some white cardstock. So I've done that. I'm going to incorporate one of those into this, as well as a sentiment. Now, I already knew that I was going to be using this stamp, so I found a quote that I really liked, and I stamped it out onto some scrap piece of cardstock, and I'm going to trim it out. So you probably, I guess you saw me using this Xyron sticker machine, and I like to use it sometimes because it's quick and easy, and I obviously don't use it when I'm going to put wet medium over it, but I just trimmed out my stamped sentiment, and I'm going to stick that down here in a second. Now I think since I am using this white cardstock, I'm going to use this girl here on the white cardstock and give her a little bit of color. So I'll just quickly trim her out. Okay, so she's going to go about here, and I can't fit her through the Xyron machine, even though they do make larger sizes. She doesn't fit through mine, so I'm just going to add a little glue. You can definitely use matte medium, but I like to try to keep things dry so that, again, there's no waiting. We're just gonna put her down here. A lot of times I'll get a brayer and just kind of go over it just to make sure it's all down. So I think I'm going to, let's use, I don't need this anymore. So I'm going to use some gelatos, and actually that one. What I like to do with these is just rub them onto my craft sheet or my craft mat or whatever work surface I have, and either use a water brush or use a dry brush and then spritz the gelatos with some water. And just give her a little bit of color. Gosh, I've moved off the camera, so hopefully you've seen what I've been doing. Oh my gosh.